I'm a cruise planner franchisee. I certainly had the ability to become an independent travel advisor.
Yep.
Anybody can do that, but not everybody can do that.
Right,
they can introduce you to it, but you've got to do the work.
What a simple way to explain franchising.
For me, franchising helps you with your new identity.
Look for what that brand support can do to help you overcome maybe your weaknesses.
Yeah. I would agree with that, but I also know like often your success is right on the other side of your fears.
Hello, my name is Kandra Witkowski and I'm the Director of Business here at Scoop Soldiers. One of the fun parts of my job is I get to co-host the Find Your Gold podcast, where we hope to inspire people into entrepreneurship, maybe, just maybe, through Scoop Soldiers franchising. Who knows? One of the people watching might be our next pet waste millionaire. Today I am here with a very good friend of mine, Dave Dawson, who's owned a couple businesses, and I've known him for probably 12?
Yeah,
no,
maybe
longer
10.
than that.
Yeah, I think it's longer.
Yeah, at least 10, 15 years, something in that area. And he was nice enough to voluntold to join us here on the podcast. He's got a great story. I value his friendship and his mentorship for various things, but I wanted to kind of bring him on. So I'll kind of zip it for a second, and Dave, kind of tell us who you are, where we're at, and what you do.
Yeah. So as you know, I'm Dave Dawson. I'm actually a cruise planner franchisee.
Okay.
Newly franchisee, and I'm here to kind of share my experience in franchising with you and kind of talk a little shop.
Yeah. So how long have you owned your franchise?
So we signed our franchise agreement in I think December 23rd of 24.
Okay.
And so I did my initial training in March of 25. So we're talking months. Yeah.
And is this the only business that you've ever owned?
No, so I've owned, so I started pursuing kind of my interest in entrepreneurship. And I think a lot of people look into like multi-level marketing and they kind of give you a taste. I did the same thing. I found out it wasn't for me.
Okay.
And so I kind of put that on the side, but I always had this instinct inside of me like, man, I need to do my own thing. And as you know, like I almost became a poop scooping franchisee. It was very
not
close.
meant to be at that time.
Yeah, it's not meant to be, but yeah, it was ultimately in my future to own something.
Yep. Does any of your family own businesses? Or
so my parents own their own business. For a long time. It was called Reader Mail. It was in the pattern home sewing.
Okay.
And so it was kind of an odd.
Yeah, that's kind of old school, like back in the day.
Super old school. But we would travel and go to like networking shows and things like that. So I got to see that through my parents' eyes.
Yeah.
And they also they still had jobs and still ran that business. And the kids helped run it.
Yeah.
And so maybe as a young person, that was instilled in us as something we could do.
So I come from a long line of family members that have owned businesses. Nothing close to what I've done, similar to you. I come from a long line of truck drivers.
Yeah.
Most people know because of my foul mouth, which is actually not true because my family doesn't cuss nearly as much as I do. But anyway, so I think that when you're in a family of entrepreneurs, like I don't know if it's hereditary, like that little seed is there to be an entrepreneur, or maybe you just grew up not knowing otherwise, right? Like you didn't know that the networking group or the convention you went to was for that. Like you don't know any different, right?
Right. I think it gives you the confidence to see your parents do this thing or put themselves out there. And it does. It's a seed that lives inside of you. And I think a lot of people have that seed. They just don't know how to pursue.
Right. It's like an itch.
Growing it. Right.
It's like an itch somewhere. You just don't know where to scratch first. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So from multi-level marketing, I know we worked at Spring Green Lawn Care and Pet Butler together.
That's right.
We've all talked about how Pet Butler is a fabulous franchise. Spring Green Lawn Care is a fabulous franchise. Scoop Soldiers, fabulous franchise. Obviously, if you're looking to buy a Scoop Soldiers franchise or a pet waste removal franchise, I'd prefer you call me. But yeah, franchising is a great place to be on the corporate side and then otherwise. So how do you think, because the multi-level marketing was before Spring Green Enterprises, right?
It was at the same time.
So what is your franchising career brought you to being like, I think I want to own a franchise of something? Like what brought you to not just being an independent cruise planner?
Yeah. So the thing I love about franchising is the systems in place. So for example, like I certainly had the ability to become an independent travel advisor, right? Yeah. Anybody can do that. But not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
And I know where my skill set is. And through my nearly 20 years experience in franchising and supporting franchise owners, franchising was incredibly important for me to look at because I wanted systems in place. I wanted to go execute, right? Give me the checklist and I'm going to go be awesome at the checklist, right?
Yep.
It's my responsibility to become the expert in my industry, a student of my industry. But I also didn't want the technology and the marketing and all the other things that come along with that business model for me to have to be a student of everything, of vendors. I wanted my franchise partner to be that.
Yeah.
And I go execute within that system, the sandbox. And so it was really important for those reasons that I focused there.
I forgot who I was franchising with or who I was podcasting with. It might have been Jonathan, with the CEO of Shuck and Shack. And he had told me that they like to think of it as by being a franchise owner with them, that you're starting on second base. Like a little bit. And then I don't know which franchise owner it was that it's in Goody. I interviewed both of them when I was at Spring Green Lawn Care. And he had said, I cannot think of his first name right now. Kenny. I know as soon as you said it. He said that franchising got him from point A to point B faster. Yeah. And I'm like, what a simple way to explain franchising, right? And as a franchise owner, you can still have great ideas and do lots of independent things, but then you still have the network and like the big umbrella to be underneath. So you're not doing everything.
Yeah.
Right?
I think for me, franchising too helps you with your new identity.
Okay.
And you know, when you're transitioning out of a W-2 job into becoming an entrepreneur, I think one of the first biggest challenges you face is your identity crisis.
Yeah.
And I think joining a franchise, you are buying into this new identity. You can see yourself in that identity. It's your job to be the identity. And I think that's the great thing about a franchise system is it helps with that transition of who I'm going to be, right? You don't have to discover that, right? And there are true entrepreneurs who know who they're supposed to be. They may not be a great fit for a franchise, but there's the majority of us who need that. You know, and that'll allow you to be more successful quicker. I think.
Right. Because we both been in franchising for a long time. I was always in franchise development. You did more operations, and so my job was to. And I'm kind of smirking because I remember I don't remember who had said this to me, but if a franchise owner, this is off topic, franchise owner was fabulous, God bless the operations team, right? Yeah. And if a franchise owner was maybe not so fabulous, what the heck is Fran Dev doing down there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the easy approach for sure. But I think the ops guys, we all know. We all know. Yeah.
At least from my experience, the ops team were like the cool kids, right? Like, little Fran Dev down there in that little hole in the back of the building was one thing, but like, the ops team, like they're the face of the business. They're running, doing all the things. So I always I don't remember who told me that, but I was like, oh, that's kind of true. Great franchise owner, great ops team. Terrible franchise owner, Fran Dev sucks.
Yeah, I think the reality of it though is like the operations team has like there was something in our brand that person saw. Like it wasn't that you brought us just anybody, right? They saw something in our system. Yeah. And it was really the franchisee's job to execute on the system. Right. Regardless, right? So
yep. The being a franchise owner, and when you're part of a franchise system, and all franchise systems are different. Some are more involved with their franchisees, some are less involved. I mean, it's a wide range. So when you're looking to buy a franchise, try to figure out your industry, and then look at multiple brands, right? Like it's like a doctor. Just because you have a great doctor for you doesn't mean it's going to be a great doctor for me.
Right.
So it's more than just finding an industry. Like, I love dog poop, I want to own a franchise. I love cruise. I mean, like, it's more than that. You have to do your due diligence and figure out where you're the best fit, because you're going to sign a franchise agreement.
Yeah.
And not that you can't resell your franchise, but like, we want to make sure our goal, whether it was Spring Green, Pet Butler, Scoop Soldiers, Smoothie King, Shuck and Shack, whoever it is, our goal is to, as franchise development, to find the right person in the right area at the right time. And then it works because the franchise owner has to do what they're supposed to do, and the franchisor has to do what they're supposed to do. And if both people do well, with a little bit of luck, then we're off and running. If we sell you a franchise and you're like, this wasn't what I thought, and you cross your arms and dig your heels in. We, as the franchisor, we don't want that. Right. And as the franchisee, you don't want that.
And I like to, it's an interesting word too, is like sell you a franchise.
Award you.
Really, franchises are awarded. Right? Like, you can't just go buy into a franchise, even if you wanted to. I think there's a lot of alignment that takes place, and I think a lot of people, that's the part where I think people get caught, is they're like, I'm just going to buy into this franchise and I'm going to be successful. It definitely doesn't work that way.
And I tell people, at my very first call, no matter what brand I'm with, I'm like, you are interviewing us and we are interviewing you. So if I'm working with a candidate and they're not taking my calls on time, they're missing, they're not getting me what I asked for, they're not responding to questions, I'm like, these are all problems that I don't want to have to give to my operations team to just get a check on the board and a commission check in the bank. It doesn't do any good.
However you show up early is how you show up later. And I always said, I worked for the Entrepreneurial Source. They have career ownership coaches there. And I always say franchising starts in discovery. If your franchise identity doesn't start after you sign the franchise agreement, it starts in the pursuit of business ownership. And however you start that journey is often how you'll end up. And so if you're late or showing up or not taking it serious or goal oriented, you're probably going to show up that way later again and struggle. And
that's not, we don't want to, as franchisors, we don't want to drag someone kicking and screaming for 10 years. Most franchise agreements are 10, some are more, some are less. And again, if you're buying a franchise, you don't want to be drugged for 10 years either. So what do you think is the biggest, in your opinion, the biggest misconception about buying into a franchise?
The biggest misconception, I think, is that you are going to be successful.
Okay, I can agree.
It's like, hey, I bought in.
Where's my money?
Right, exactly. Or like your franchisor is going to save you when you're failing.
Okay.
I think there's that.
I didn't even realize I made a face. I'm like, we can help. We want to help. We desperately want to help, but it is your business, right?
I think another one is that you are a true entrepreneur that gets to make all the decisions.
Right.
And the reality is you're working in a partnership.
Yeah, that's a good way.
And you have guidelines that are set up to help you get on a track for success. It's your decision if you're going to buy into that or not.
And we both have probably worked with franchise owners that didn't, like, maybe years down the road, like, missed the mark a little bit on it. And they're like, well, I pay royalty. I'm like, well, you do, but that does not mean that we can run it's your business, right? I wouldn't want anyone else running my business. So I think that we're there to support and to help, but it is the franchise owner's business. They have to stay between the bumpers, and those bumpers are there because as the franchisor, we've already made mistakes. We've already tested things. We know that didn't work. This didn't work. And so while it is your business, there are some things that are, the word in franchising is non-compliant, that you have to stay compliant in certain areas.
Well, I think compliance is also seen as a negative thing, and I always viewed it as a positive thing.
Right.
Like, as you're reading through an FDD, anything that kind of shows up as a compliance-related thing there is the franchisor creating guidelines to prevent failures. And anything outside of those, there's going to be a pain point, whether it's a fee or some kind of something control. To make sure that you are as successful as possible.
going to give you a little pop quiz. Wasn't on my list.
Yeah.
So an FDD in franchising is a document that each franchisor has to file every single year. And it includes a ton of information. I promise you it's not the most riveting document you're ever going to read. But what is your opinion on a brand that has an FDD without an item 19?
Yeah, interesting because Cruise Planners actually doesn't have item 19.
Okay.
Yeah.
So explain to them what an item 19 is.
Yeah, so an item 19 is essentially the financial performance of the franchise. Typically, it's broken down into quartiles of the top, middle, and bottom. It'll tell you, like, clump the franchisees into those sections and kind of give you a little bit of data so that you can start to compile some information on the performance and where do you think you're going to land type of, So, or is everybody averaging about the same? Right. Or is like the bookends starting to separate? Why is that? And you get to start to do the math equation on what that means.
Yeah. So did you, when you were investigating, so you guys decided travel planning was what you and Rachel wanted to do, right?
Yeah.
So then did you take, I don't even know that much about, the only travel I really do is for work for the most part, and then wherever I'm needed for family obligations.
Yeah.
Are there multiple cruise or travel planning franchises out there? And how did you guys come to figure out that this is the one that's the right fit for you guys?
Yeah. So our story actually started outside of the travel industry. Okay. When I was at the Entrepreneurial Source, and you're working with franchisees and coaching and helping people pursue business ownership through franchising, like, you talking a lot about goal setting and what's most important and what's driving you next. And so Rachel and I started doing that in our own home. It's really important. And she's a third grade teacher. She's been a teacher for 20 years.
Now I know why your marriage works so well.
Yeah, so she's been a teacher for 20 years. And I asked her, I said, so what's the end game?
Yeah.
Because
nobody talks about that.
Because I don't know that I knew her end game. And, we have a long story of her moving from Indiana to Illinois and pension and like what that means. And so she would have to work for another 20 years as a third grade teacher. And physically, she's got some issues, and I know she's just not going to make another 20 years in classrooms.
I don't have kids, but that seems like a long time to be with a lot of kids.
It is. But when it's your love,
right. It's still tiring, but yeah, I get you.
Yeah. So I said, hey, I don't know that's a great plan.
Right.
What if we started to look into some businesses that we could build up and help get those proverbial hooks out of you, right? Of the pension. And so we started to look at a bunch of different business models in the franchising space: home remodeling, closet, kind of spaces, residential and commercial painting, hazardous waste. Like, we were I was in everywhere.
That's great. You should, right? You should.
And travel was always in there, and nothing really hit home for Rachel.
Okay.
And ultimately, if this is her plan to transition after teaching, we had to find something that she could definitely get behind, but also made a lot of sense for us. We love traveling. And so we came to travel. So we started looking at all the different travel models, and some of them didn't make sense to me on paper.
Yeah.
We certainly could have done our own thing, but then I'd have to figure out the technology. I'd have to figure out, working with the Consortia. I'd have to figure out, how to partner up.
You wouldn't be on second base.
That's right.
Yeah, you'd be on first base.
And so Cruise Planners has a phenomenal reputation in franchising. They're actually top 200 on the top 500 franchise list.
Okay.
Well known for their technology, and you know me, I love tech. Anything I can use in technology to make me better, I do. And they had great feedback from their franchisees. Are there things that I don't like? Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Because it's I didn't create it, right? I have that entrepreneurial spirit, but yeah, there are things that we could make better for sure.
Yeah.
But what it allows me to do is work with our clients the way I want to.
Yeah.
You know.
Do you think that's I would say that's probably I would if I asked that question, I think every franchise owner would say I love a lot of things, but there's a couple things that I don't like, right? I would think, and actually, keeping I love my job. There's a couple things that I wish were different, right? It's probably the same, but I do think people think when they buy a franchise that it's going to be all we're in the pet industry. It's all going to be puppy tails and kisses. It's going to be nothing but sunshine and rainbows, and it's not always like that. And it's sometimes you have to have uncomfortable or difficult conversations, and you have to embrace the suck and kind of move on. So let's talk a little bit about your industry or not even your franchise, but your industry in general. What are some of the negatives or the hard parts of owning a travel agency or travel planning agency?
Yeah. So some of these things you have to learn as you get into it. One is it's incredibly competitive.
Oh, okay. I didn't. Yeah. Okay.
Probably one of the most competitive industries there are.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is, our franchise brand, we have 2,000 franchisees.
Holy smokes.
Yeah. That's just our brand.
Yeah, right.
And think about, you've got Expedia Travel, you've got some of the other, right? And now I'm also competing with the independent travel agents. I'm also competing with the cruise lines directly.
Yeah.
I'm competing with the airlines. I'm competing with the hotels, the credit card, and
your points and your miles,
right,
and
and the Costcos of the world that are trying to undercut everybody in there as well. And so it's incredibly competitive.
Okay.
And that's where you as an individual, right? Because travel is all about trust.
Connection, yeah.
Yeah. And how can I build trust on the front end? But most importantly, when you're traveling and you have a problem is when the real trust comes in. Because if you're booking your travel all by yourself, well, you're all by yourself.
You're by yourself.
There's their guarantee, right? And even when you book through some of the major partners or vendors, you're still kind of, you have an 800 number now.
Good luck.
Right. And sometimes that turns out really great. And when you're in the moment under pressure, that's not always a great time to be on that 800 number.
Yeah.
But that's where your travel advisor comes in, because we kind of get to battle for you in those times of need, right? Or at least I have another number that's a little bit more powerful than the 800 number. Yes.
Roll your dice.
That's right. That's right.
So who is, because again, we talked about not every franchise right for everybody, not every travel planner, not all of that, right? So who's a good client for you?
Well, it's funny you say that, because really everybody. Now, what is going to grow my business quicker is completely different than everybody, right? But Rachel and I, we're willing to help anybody. And the reason is because everybody travels to some degree, right? Yeah. I've helped people go to Michigan and rent, kind of an Airbnb type property, all the way to the other side of the world and do a cruise, through the Mediterranean. So, literally everybody is there. But our niche and what we focus on is obviously cruising. Okay. That is one of the problems with maybe having a brand name that's Cruise Planners, right? Is you guys only do cruising. No, we do way more than cruising. Yeah. But yes, our specialty is cruising, whether it's ocean or river cruising. Okay. And I will say river cruising is the complete missed way to travel. It's especially for 40-somethings, I think river cruising
I'm laughing. I went to coffee with Lena V. Yeah. And Lena was like, we need to go on a river cruise. And I'm like, I know nothing. Yeah. I'm like, you tell me where you want a river cruise. And so now, Lena, we're just going to call Dave. We don't need to wait for the Googles of the world to hear our conversation and present us with someone. We're just going to call Dave. Yeah. I don't know nothing. She didn't know nothing, but we thought it'd be fun.
Yeah. So river cruising is synonymous with river and retire, right? And that's
now
what
you're making me feel like I'm old.
Well, typically you're between 55 and 70 years old is your average cruise. It's that's the window. And that's why I say 40-somethings are missing out. Rachel and I, we love going to Aruba. We love, she hates it when I say this, but we are really good at wasting a week away on a beach.
I would love to waste a week.
Right. Just relaxing and resting. And it's really kind of filled our buckets back up when we needed it. But river cruising is everything we want. I mean, we're covering multiple countries. We're being dropped off right in the heart of every city that you want to go see. You're taken care of just like you would be on a big ocean cruise, but it's under 150 people, so it's super intimate. You don't get
lost in the shuffle.
Right? It's super intimate, and you get to see and learn about all these things that you see in books.
I don't, like I said, I'm not a big traveler other than work, and I've never even thought about using a travel agent because mainly I don't go places. So so we talked about the hardest thing in owning a travel planning franchise. What's one of the best or easiest things about owning I could guess for you, probably the travel, right? Like sample sell, you got to go.
Oh my God. So there's so where franchising has some misnomers, so does being a travel advisor. Right? Like everybody thinks we travel all the time. And yes, you'll see a lot of travel advisors do that because they have a passion for travel and running this business helps them achieve that. But the reality is it's still a business, right? Like
you're not just living on the beach.
Yeah, you can't run a business if you are always on the go, right? Your business requires your attention. And so yes, love traveling, and we've certainly taken advantage of the traveling. But I think one of the best parts of owning a travel business is really why we got into this is, as much as I would love to spend thousands of dollars repainting my house and the space would look amazing, I don't always, when it's done, I'm like, so I'm so glad we did this. It's a must, right? We had to do that. But when my clients get back from traveling and they share their experiences and their photos, I know that we have made like lifelong memories. And that's one of the best parts for me is that.
So I know you've only been doing this for like a year, under a year, something like that. Do you have any memories or stories that like stick in your head? Like, oh yeah, like I'm so glad that the Joneses called and their trip was perfect, and there was like something that changed their life, or like it sticks in your head that was like, yeah, like we did good on that one, like that was perfect.
So we had a client that it was a referral to us, and we love referrals.
Everybody
in this
loves
business.
Referrals.
And so we were working on an Alaskan cruise, and originally I think they just were like, just get us on a cruise ship, right? And it was really about taking time and aligning them with the right type of setup and what their goals were for that trip. And ultimately had a phenomenal experience. Even the cruise line stepped up in ways they never thought and took care of their family. They were in a Haven Suite on Norwegian Cruise Line. Although it's not always the first cruise line I would send people to Alaska on. For their family and what they were trying to achieve, it was the best. And the way they were taken care of in that class, it was a ship within a ship, made a huge impression.
Good. That's like, it's always nice when somebody, do you have any crazy, terrible, like, because I know you can't control everything, but you're always like, oh gosh. Like, I'm so sorry.
We've been very fortunate that we've not put people in any positions that have had to have horror stories yet. I have had some clients miss some flights, and that's just a part of flying internationally. Rachel and I actually had our own funny story, and if you don't know this, you definitely want at least 2 to 2.5 hours on connecting flights through Europe on layovers. They're just notorious for being late, and you've got to get through passport control. And so we had a 45-minute connection. I was like, let's just see if we can do this. And it turned into one of the wildest, most memorable flight experiences we ever had. We got to meet some wonderful older people in the airport that needed wheelchair help, and no one was there. So Rachel and I, like, we were rushing. Everybody was rushing, and so we grabbed 2 wheelchairs, and one of the spouses did, and so we ended up, because of it, kind of getting onto the plane first, which also meant we got to kind of get off first. So it was
those little tips and tricks.
Just these little putting yourself out to the world moments.
So what would be the difference between like your franchise brand and like an independent travel agent? Like, is there any difference on like, you should always come with this, or we might not be the best fit for that?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, our reputation that comes with cruise planners is really powerful.
Okay.
I mean, it started in 1984. We've been around for a very long time. We work with one of the largest consortias, and our reputation is top tier in the industry. And because of that, sometimes as a travel agent, and you shouldn't use a travel agent just to save money, but sometimes we have special deals because of where we stand in the industry that other smaller independents may not have.
The experience, right? Like the experience of knowing, and if you don't, because you're newish, if you don't know the answer, you know someone who has the answer.
Oh yeah, I've got thousands of people who have those answers, right? And I've got really great, strong connections with the brands, and I can't have traveled everywhere. I was approached a month ago by someone who has been very traveled, and she was like, I want to go to somewhere very exotic. Where should I go? I've been to all the majors.
Yeah.
And, and she wants me to have also been to all those majors. Right. And the reality is like your travel advisor probably hasn't been everywhere. Right. But it's about letting them do that research for you.
Okay.
Right. And so I think the average person spends about somewhere around the 20 plus hours researching a trip.
Holy smokes.
Right. So as an advisor, my job is to help reduce, not take away, but reduce the amount of time. Yeah.
So what do you think the difference would be between and now I'm kind of starting to go back. So I think for me, like whenever, I never thought about using a travel planner at all. So if I'm going to go somewhere and do something, I think in my brain, I'm like, I should use a travel agent because you're going to know the thing. So I travel a lot. When I get into wherever I'm going, I go to cool things near me or whatever it is. And I always kind of feel like I'm missing some of the things because I don't know all the things. So is that a big plus to contacting you? Is you should definitely check out XYZ restaurant. Like we've heard their great reviews, and versus going to Applebee's or I don't know, wherever, whatever the chains are.
Well, I think one is you're going to get stuck in the algorithm. So you're going to get fed whatever's being pushed to you, not necessarily what aligns to you.
Yeah.
And so your travel advisor is going to really spend time learning where you've traveled, what those experiences were like, what you didn't like. So for example, if you wanted to go to an all-inclusive resort, we work with Sandals.
Okay.
And not all Sandals are the same.
Oh, okay.
Okay. They all have their own different type of personality.
Okay.
And so I want to align you with what you're trying to achieve within that specific brand.
Okay.
Now, we love Sandals because it reminds me a lot of franchising. You're going to get the same level of experience.
Right.
But one resort might be a little bit more party, and the other one is high romance, quiet, and not have that type of scene. So your travel advisor is going to help align you with your expectations. You know?
So also lining with expectations, back to the franchising part of it. When you're looking to buy a brand or you're looking for, where should you land? Scooping, traveling, haircutting, whatever it is. You should always be looking at the support you get from your franchise system.
Yeah.
Right. So like I said before, some franchise owners here's our marketing, go do your thing. And some of them are like, I want to see every single ad. We want to make sure that you're all of the things, right?
Yeah.
So what support, what drew you to your brand? What support, because you're from operations, where you're this is where we belong.
Yeah. What drew me in was the technology that was in place.
Okay.
I know like how I like to work. I like to, I chose this to go be a franchisee.
Yeah.
So I want some level of like, let me go do the system.
Yeah.
Right. But at the same time, like we have franchise business coaches, and I get to meet with them on my cadence that I need. So I work with some peers that maybe work with their coach on a weekly basis, where I get to work with my coach on a monthly or bi-monthly type of cadence.
Okay.
And that works really well for me. They all are really kind of versed in the travel space. But more importantly, we also have our care team that I can rely on a regular basis.
Okay.
When it comes to the technology, or if then what in this system, or how is that supposed to flow, so I get my client the best experience possible. And so I'm not just relying on one person, I'm relying on the entirety of the team, everybody at Cruise Planners, regardless of the department, I can access.
Okay.
And that's what made it really appealing to me, is like my success to some degree wasn't solely aligned to one contact.
Okay. Yeah,
I was able, they encourage us to reach out. Right. They encourage us. And just like in a lot of franchise systems, franchisees in this system are amazing people.
I was waiting for them.
Yeah. No, they want you to be successful. Yeah. So we don't have territories.
Okay.
Oddly enough, I'm in Illinois, and most of my clients are from outside the state of Illinois. But my network is also all the way outside of the state of Illinois, and without them, I don't think I would be as successful as I am today. Yeah. That's
a good. I would probably phrase it the same thing with, Scoop Soldiers or any of the other brands. Like it's without the support of your team, then not. So let me ask you this. So for people that are watching that are considering a franchise, whether it's us, them, whoever it is, what is a big red flag in franchising? If you're in looking at different brands in whatever industry, what's in your opinion, what you're like, yeah, no, that's a hard no for me?
That is a...
That may actually be hard to answer, because if I'm operationally based, and it's a brand with a strong operations team, but not a great marketing team, and I know I need help with marketing. So maybe that's an unfair question to...
Right. I think you as an individual need to always be leading with what you're trying to achieve. Okay. What are my income, lifestyle, wealth, and equity goals?
Yep.
And how does this brand help me achieve those?
Yeah.
Like, I've worked with franchisees that have been in a system before for 20 years, and all of a sudden they feel disenfranchised. And the reality is, like, the franchise got stronger, but them as an individual owner got lost.
In the shuffle, yeah.
Right, and it's because their goals changed, and they thought they were the same, but they really had changed. So the business model is no longer serving those goals, right?
Yeah.
How much work they wanted to work instead of how much life they wanted to live, right? Those things changed. And so I think going and doing your due diligence, you have to really understand what it is you're trying to achieve. Are you escaping a W-2 life, a W-2 job you just hate? A franchise isn't going to solve that.
Right.
If you don't have those goals to know how you're transitioning out, you could get yourself into some trouble.
Yeah.
Right. But I think the things that I would look for is, how is this business going to cash flow? Okay. Like, what are the opportunities for it to cash flow? And is your operating capital aligned with that model?
Right.
So in the travel industry, and this is one thing most people don't understand, as travel advisors, we don't get paid until you travel.
Oh, so if I book a trip for 2030.
Well, that would be quite a ways out. But
I mean, even 2026 or what?
Yeah. So right now you can book cruises for 2027.
Okay.
And that's awesome for my business, right?
but not really for like...
Right. And so you have to travel for me to get paid. Yeah. And so that can be problematic for some people. It will not align to some people's positions, right? And so you have to really do your due diligence to understand how the business works on paper. Right? So that you know what you're getting into. Can I survive this until it cash flows? I think a lot of people don't understand either is like how long or how much energy it takes to get your business up off the ground from
and then
zero.
keep it up and off the ground.
Right.
Like it's nonstop. So for people that are looking at a franchise brand, I'll even kind of like, and you tell me if you think that I'm wrong. When you're in your franchise discovery process is typically you form fill on a website, then someone like myself follows up and answers questions, and the interview process for you, interview process for me. I would say if you're looking at a brand, if you know what your strengths and weaknesses are, and you know, like I said, that I'm not operationally as advanced as I am marketing wise, or I'm great at the books, or maybe I'm not super outgoing. So maybe you pick a brand that doesn't make you be in the front of everything. But I think if you go into the industry that you're looking for, or you're investigating in your investigation process, look for what that brand support can do to help you overcome maybe your weaknesses, right? Like would you agree with that? Or
I would agree with that, but I also know like often your success is right on the other side of your fears. And as an owner of a business, like you can hire a really great team, but they're not going to connect with your goals like you are. And so if you're trying to align yourself to a business model that has somebody taking over some of those things, it can be, I do kind of view it as maybe a miss a little bit, because you've got to be willing to get uncomfortable.
But when you're uncomfortable, like if I'm uncomfortable in marketing, it's great to have somebody next to me to help reassure me and guide me. Like if I know nothing, right? Like I've never done an event. Like
in that capacity, I would say your support team, whether it's marketing or operations, like they've got to be able to lead with some empathy to understand like, hey,
you're good.
I give you permission to not know this. You've never done this before, and we're going to work our way up. But also know like your support can't do it for you. They can get you They can introduce you to it, but you've got to do the work. You're not hiring a franchise or joining a franchise for them to do it for you.
We don't know everything.
Right. The power of franchising is the system in itself. So franchisees are bringing their skill set, their transferable skills into that space, and it ultimately lifts everybody up. But if you want to hire a team to do it for you, it probably long term isn't going to be a great fit for you. But yes, like if you can work with those departments to help educate you to start to get further into that space, I think is the way to go.
Franchising is a partnership. It is a partnership. If you're not doing your right thing by your franchise brand, it's not going to work.
Well, your franchise,
like vice versa, like they have to do, otherwise it's not going to work. And
your franchisor can't want it for you more than you want it for you.
No, we can't. And like I think, so RJ Crone had told me, this is years and years ago. I don't know, I had a candidate and he had told me, I didn't even miss Spring Green. I can't remember which brand it was, but he said, if I'm ever working with a candidate and they are nothing but excited, that's not going to work. If I'm working with a candidate and they are just completely petrified, that's not going to work. Like we want someone that's excited about starting their franchise, about starting their business, but also like, ooh, I'm a little worried about, trucks or employees or whatever. If they're too far the other way, they're not going to.
Well, I always get worried about franchisees that don't ask questions.
Ask questions, please ask us questions.
Whether it's on the front end or in literally when you've signed your franchise agreement and you've started, the pursuit of knowledge or understanding means that you are participating. But if you expect your franchisor to teach you everything you need, in the lawn care industry, none of our franchisees came in with agronomics degrees. And it was like, how are you being a student of this space? How are you helping your space by participating, whether you're going to have a product that's regulated on you, or are you just going to wait on the sidelines, right?
Yeah. I had one of my very most favorite franchise owners, super sweet person. I don't know how long I had known him, but he says something like, he's like, can I tell you something? I'm like, yeah. And you could tell, like his video call, like I could tell he was nervous. And he's like, I don't know how to read a P&L. I'm like, perfect, we'll learn.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't know how many times I had met before he mustered up the courage to say, we keep looking at this document and I hear what you're saying, but I don't know how that relates. I'm like, great, we'll learn about that. And then we'll move on to cash flow.
Yeah. I've had a franchisee send me their P&L and say, hey, Dave, can I afford to go on vacation? I'm like, okay, we've got a place to start from.
Right. Yeah. You have to have a place. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Again, like you are partnering with a brand. And if you don't know, you should be comfortable with them to say, listen, like I don't think I did this right, or I don't know how this works, or so what, if there's somebody out there thinking they want to start a business regardless, what tip would you give them to point them to finding the right franchise brand, not industry, like franchise brand? Yeah.
So I would suggest you got to get a coach. There's a lot of franchise coaches out there.
Or franchise brokers.
Or brokers, right? They're going to be focused in education and they're going to take their time, right? They're going to help you. But there's also a lot of resources out there, like the IFA, International Franchising Association, is a resource that probably goes untapped in...
It does. It kind of slides underneath, like all the things. So.
Yeah, but it's about, it's about just doing that research, but talking to franchisees. So if you wanted to become a travel advisor, the first thing I'd say is like, talk to a travel advisor. First, right? Let them kind of tell you what a day in a life really is, what it means to be successful. You don't want to align yourself. And I think this is where franchisees get caught, is they like, I love this, so I'm going to go do that, right? I love baking, so I'm going to open up a bakery, right? Well, the reality is like, you're not going to be baking.
No, right? That's my example all the time. I'm like, people think I love cakes.
Yeah.
I'm going to start a bakery. And then before they know it, they're down the road and they hate what they're doing because they're not baking cakes.
You're not baking cakes.
I love cakes. So I mean, that would be great for me.
But your business is the vehicle to get you to achieve those goals I talked about earlier. And yeah, I think that's what they should do, is really kind of work with a coach or document what it is they're trying to do, and then go do due diligence. More than you think.
You think you got enough? You don't.
You don't. I always like to ask too, or tell my potential franchisees, like, ask what should I be asking? Like, you as a franchisor know what you want your candidates to be asking. What are the most candidates not asking they should? Like, ask those questions.
You know what you know. You know what you don't know. What you don't know, what you don't know. Like, I would tell candidates, when I think of the Scoop Soldiers Command Center, I can close my eyes and I can picture the room and I can picture Heather running our command center. But when I say command center, that you don't picture Heather, right? So I do this all day, all the time. So I know what I'm looking for. And I think I'm okay. I try to be pretty good about making sure I end every call, like, again, I'm going to remind you, if you have questions, call and ask. If not, keep a list. And every time we meet, we will rapid fire. That's how I end every single call. Because I know when we're doing this presentation or whatever step I am in my discovery process, I've done this 2 or 3 times today already, right? Or at least 4 or 5 times this week.
Sure.
So I'm very fast. I talk very fast. So I try to make sure that I have, like, I can back it up, because sometimes you're talking to someone and you're talking about the command center, but you can still see that they're thinking of the truck, right? So sometimes in the discovery process, we chunk it out so that you can learn about something and then let it marinate and come up with those questions. So take your time.
What's the rush?
If you're working with a salesperson, it's like, we got to get this deal done. You're not buying a used car off a lot. Right? Like, you also shouldn't let a car dealer rush you either. But like, it's a big stinking decision. Don't get caught in the excitement. Take the step back. Think of all the negatives, right? Think of all the things that could go wrong. And back to RJ Crone, like, all the things that could go wrong and all the things that are great, and then make sure that you're prepared for both.
And to your point, like, that's like, there's a lot of candidates that want to move really fast. Right? And the question should be is like, why do you want to move so fast right now?
Right.
What are you trying to solve by going fast?
Right. Keep a good pace is good.
Yeah.
Keep a good pace, right? I don't want to take a call with you now and then in 6 months, because you're going to forget what we
That's
already
right.
did, but kind of keep moving through that process. So,
Yeah.
so if someone's looking to go into the travel planning industry, who would be a good fit for that?
So someone who's detailed oriented, because there are a ton of details.
Okay.
You know, think about this, like you cannot get anybody's names wrong on travel documents.
Yeah.
They have to match. You're somebody who can be confidential because you're getting people's passports, credit cards, like you're getting deep into real, identity type things. Someone who is really good at research and asking a lot of great questions, who can be slow. And I think somebody that's trustworthy is the biggest one, because like I said, travel is all about trust.
What's the saying? People buy from who they know, like, and trust.
Yeah.
Right. So that's actually probably a great way to kind of.
Yeah.
So, all right. So before we end, I want to go back to, if you're going to buy a franchise, investigate your industry, your brand, the industry.
That's right.
Ask questions, and then work with either a coach, or if you want to, a coach or a business consultant. But then also take notes, investigate brands, check out media. We have plenty of. We'll link all the stuff for us below. But get comfortable with who's going to be your partner for 10 years, and then ask all of the bad questions. Like ask your franchise development person, what don't I know? What do I need to ask? And then from there, take your time, do your due diligence, talk to franchise owners, talk to customers before you sign that franchise agreement. And then once you sign the franchise agreement, then the real work starts.
That's right.
Right. So, I also forgot, tell me about Penny. I didn't even ask about your dog.
Yeah,
I was so excited. I haven't seen you in forever. I forgot to ask
It's funny. My kids will ask who the favorite kid is. And I always say Penny, the dog. Yeah. So we have a golden doodle. Okay. She's a standard. So she's about 45 pounds. Mm-hmm. She sleeps all day. And she is just the sweetest. She is. Yeah, she is the sweetest. She has one bark. It's aggressive, but
I know that bark.
Yeah.
Because I used to live in the subdivision behind Dave, and when I was more of a runner, I'm not quite running as much, but I would run by his house, and Penny was like right over the fence, and she knew me, but it still was a what are you doing here kind of bark.
Yep, but she's amazing. As dogs kind of get into this age, we're starting to see her get older. Mm-hmm. She doesn't have the puppy energy, and she definitely is. She's always been kind of a sleepy dog, but we can kind of see she's getting a little older. So but our family's getting older too,
so it kind of matches.
Yeah, it does.
Perfect.
It does. We love her to death.
I live in Missouri. Scoop Soldiers out of Dallas, but I'm in Chicagoland. I was downtown last week. I should have stopped by your place and looked over your fence to see if she was out there. I don't know if she'd still remember me, but
she would. She's really good. Yeah, they're pretty smart.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, I greatly appreciate you coming in. I know that it's taking a chunk out of your business to go somewhere else is great. I know people that are watching. Like I said, I had to have you on because you just know so much about franchising and being on the support side, and being a franchise owner, and business coaching and planning and all that kind of stuff, strategic planning, all that kind of stuff you know about. So
it's been almost 20 years now.
Yeah.
So I
know a thing or two about
I love giving back. I think that's the thing about franchising is giving back.
Yep, you're together. So, but all right. So if you have any questions for Dave, we'll get all this stuff linked. Obviously, like I said, if you have questions about Scoop Soldiers franchising, you can always find me at KandraW@scoopsoldiers.com. Check out scoopsoldiersfranchising.com, our YouTube, our social media, all of those great things. And again, if you're thinking about starting a business or jumping into franchising, whether it's pet waste removal or travel planning, reach out to people that have done it before. There are people that are like, I don't want to tell you my secret sauce, but there are people like me and Dave that we can be bribed with a cup of coffee and we'll tell you everything, right? So like we said earlier, don't be afraid to ask the uncomfortable questions, and make sure you do your best to get it right. On our side, on the franchisor side, we try very hard to get it right, but we can only do our best to get it right when we're working with a candidate that's not afraid to ask questions and make sure that they're getting it right.
Right.
So, but we'll post all the links below. We of course like you to follow us and continue to hopefully be inspired by our podcast.